Hey, welcome, and thanks for not turning it off despite that cheesy intro. In this video, we're going to talk about air quality and make ourselves our own air filter, so stay tuned. So as of lately, I've been taking air quality a little more seriously, working on my dust collection and just trying to be healthier overall. We only have one set of lungs, and we gotta take care of them. The concept is pretty straightforward. It's literally just a wooden box that holds a fan and a filter. And the filters are the furnace filters you buy from Home Depot. There's different quality ratings that go up to HEPA and are a little more restrictive airflow wise, and we'll get into that a little later in the video. So at this point, I'm just cutting down plywood scraps to form the frame or the housing for the box fan and the filter. I used 1/2-inch plywood here, and there was two reasons for that. One, I wanted to keep it light and portable, and two, they were free. I had scraps laying around that I wanted to use up. And now I'm just ripping down slats for the top, and I'm going to hinge these. So I'm going to put hinges on them. That way you can access the filter and replace it as needed. You can access the box fan. Alright, so we got the carcass, the shell made up of the filter housing unit. And this is the box fan I'm going to go with. I think it measured out to about 21.5 by 21.5 when you included the frame. And I do have plans for this. If anyone is interested, just shoot me a DM or leave a comment below. And if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing and hitting that bell icon, it would really go a long way. Give me some good feedback, help me keep making videos like this. So I got my Kreg jig out, as you can see, and I'm going to use pocket holes to secure the whole frame together. And the reason I'm using pocket holes, like anybody else does, it's fast. And I don't really care about what this looks like. To an extent, of course. I always take all my projects seriously, but I wanted to get this done quick and fast. That way I could get it into service. Now, one of the lessons I should say that I learned from this was not to use 1/2-inch plywood as a box for this. It was just too flimsy, and the pocket holes didn't really work out. So I updated the plans to reflect that, and if I make another one in the future, I will learn my lesson. Now, I'm ripping down more scraps for the inner channels for the filter and the fan. Originally, I was planning to use two filters, one inboard and one outboard of the fan, but I changed that plan too. And I'll explain why. The fan is cheap. It's a $20 box fan from Home Depot. It doesn't have the power to suck through a filter and then push out another filter. If you really want something like that, that's going to be a higher quality performing device, you're going to have to spend more money on a fan. And I just wanted something that was cheap yet effective. That's the whole purpose of the video. Now, the filters themselves have ratings, and depending on which brand you go with, they can vary. Home Depot uses a number that's called FPR, and it's equivalent to MERV. I'm not really sure why they use a different number. Of course, it makes it more difficult, but they're essentially the same thing. And the higher the number, the smaller the micron size that it filters out. Now, some of you might be asking, why not just get a MERV 16 filter and be done with it? That way you're filtering out everything. Well, the problem with that is it's such a small, fine filter that it's very expensive, number one. And number two, you need a very powerful fan to be able to pull through that tight filter. The filter will also get caked up much more quickly, since wood particles generally are much larger than microbes and pollen and those super small particles that HEPA is really designed for. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinions. I just didn't feel the need to make my unit HEPA rated. Now that the inside rails are made up, I'm just test fitting the filter to make sure it's going to fit. And now let's secure the rails for the box fan itself. I'm also going to install a bottom rail for the filter, and this is really just going to help center it on the suction side of the fan a little bit better. And do you remember the slats we cut for the top? Well, this is where they go. I had alluded to my thought process a little bit earlier in having an inboard filter and an outboard filter. My original idea was to have a low rated initial filter followed by a higher rated second filter, and the low rated filter would essentially screen out any larger particles, and the second filter could focus on the smaller HEPA sized particles. Well, the suction for the fan just wasn't strong enough. The back pressure was too great, and I had to scrap that idea. My second idea was then to put an outboard filter on the outboard side of the fan. Well, the problem with that is it was pushing air everywhere but through the filter, and it just wasn't efficient. It was a waste, so I took that out too. So now my design, which is the third iteration, just has one single filter on the suction side. With the fan in place and the power cord rerouted, I'm going to focus on securing the top now. This is going to act as the lid for the filter compartment. This way you can open and close it and take the filter out as needed. I also went out and bought some foam, and the idea here is that it's going to compress as I close the lid and seal any small little air gaps around the filter, just making it more efficient. Now, as far as hinging this thing, you have a wide array of options. Again, I went with the cheapest route, and I just bought these cheap little hinges from Home Depot. But you could buy actual inset mortise hinges, like for cabinets, kitchen cabinets, that soft close. I mean, the possibilities are endless here. Again, I just went with the most economical route. So another little easy feature I wanted to add was having it controlled via remote control. Nothing more annoying than having to go on and switch on the fan every time I wanted to use it. So I just bought this remote controlled outlet, plugged it in, and bam, good to go. Now this is my initial filter that I used for about 2 or 3 days, and you can see it's pretty brown, so it's definitely picking up stuff. Now, I don't want to change my filter every 2 or 3 days. That's going to get pretty expensive. So I actually went to a lower FPR rating. And that's it. Pretty simple. Just a box that holds a fan and a filter. And you can customize it to any fan that you want, any MERV rating filter that you want. You can make it HEPA, not HEPA. Go crazy. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.